Hello Touch Nation and welcome to the 10th edition of the TouchDesigner Roundtable live from Berlin. We started, I think, somewhere around 2 years ago after the last Touch Designer Summit here in Berlin with the Touch Bar, like a local community meeting, and after a while we started growing very rapidly. Berlin is a really great city, and because of the current situation, we then started to venture into the internet and share with you guys. This, of course, means that we now have a broader audience and also a very broad range of speakers. And I'm really happy to introduce them to you by now, and we will see them later. But the first person is going to be Gingerly of Synthestruct. Oh, I'm really sorry. I mean, after all, I'm German, but it's a Synthestruct. And it's an audio, visual, and she is an audio and interactive experience designer, and she loves working with sensors and real-time data. What better tool to use than TouchDesigner for stuff like this? So really looking forward to what's going on there. The second person is going to be here on set. At least one person of 3 persons, because it's going to be a collective, and at least it says I'm allowed to talk or pronounce it as I wish. So it's Aejaa. Okay, so he says it's okay. And they are a collective working on a collaborative space, venue space for immersive art. But I think Christos, Andreas, and Valja are going to tell us so much more about this whole setup. I'm really looking forward to it. Third person, I think, for everyone who already is in the community, is not an unknown name. It's Pacquetta 12. So we will see what's up with all the tops and the mathematic, the picture math wizard Aurelian. And the last person, also a staple since 10 editions already in our Touch Designer community meetup here, is live from Toronto. I hope he's currently in Toronto. Marcus Heckman of Derivative is probably going to give us a look into the newly released version, stable version of 2020. So, who else is there? We have our community members, managers. It's Stefan Kraus, who normally is taking care of this position I'm in now, and we of course have Carlos. Maybe show them around a little bit. Say hello, Stefan. Say hello, Carlos. Hello. So all the questions you are asking on the chat in the Twitch stream right now. We have some issues with our YouTube stream, so I think in the end everyone will be here with us in the Twitch stream, so we can answer it. Maybe some, I don't know if we have some information about our setup here. It's live rendered with Touch, and we are going to give a webinar on the newly presented and online website, thenodeinstitute.org. Don't go to nodeinstitute.org, that's something completely different. We are thenodeinstitute.org, a newly created platform for webinars, courses, and also communication and yeah, stuff like this. So check it out, www.thenodeinstitute.org. And yeah, we are going to create or give a webinar about NVIDIA Flow, which is happening here in the background. And yeah, maybe you want to join. So let's start maybe And let's have, I think we still have 5 minutes, but maybe we can have a look at all of our contestants if they are already online. Taking a look here at my video operator. Hello, everyone. You are now live on stream. I think Aurelian is still offline. This is definitely a nice feature which just got added to the new Skype version. Maybe this is something interesting for every TouchDesigner person who wants to host an online event themselves. You can now send out every participant of a live stream per NDI, and you can just use it directly in TouchDesigner or any other software you're using to do it. So, I don't know, Ginger, are you ready to give us a short introduction of yourself?
Short intro, and then we're going to make the rounds, or is this officially starting?
I can't
short
hear.
Intro? Or do you want me to start?
Mm-hmm.
Can you hear me?
Yeah. It's the first time we're going to have this setup, so I'm really sorry to everyone on the stream who, for the technical difficulties, we had to do some switcheroos and switch around right now. So because of this, I can't hear Ginger over there. So I don't know if she's on stream. Okay, so you are on stream. Good luck and have fun with your presentation.
Okay, so you guys watching can hear me. I guess they can't hear me, so probably no interaction back and forth between us. So I'll go ahead and start my presentation. I'm Synthestruct. I also go by Ginger, as everybody in the chat seems to know. Hello, I'm also Ginger. I'm going to be showing some of my projects, maybe some stuff you've seen, maybe some stuff you haven't seen. Also talking a little bit about my background pre-working with TouchDesigner, and talking about some of the most recent stuff that I've been doing with shaders and some other stuff. So a little bit about my background. So pre-TouchDesigner, very much pre-TouchDesigner. Straight out of college, I went to school for digital media, and I had an idea of what I wanted to do, but then something happened. I ended up running a club night and DJing for about 4 years. And from that, I was booking bands and did a lot of graphic design for different industrial bands, a lot of merch and doing CD art and things like that. And I enjoyed it, but it definitely did not fulfill so many different areas that I wanted to explore. So it fulfilled the music side of it. And I really liked orchestrating these experiences and making decisions about what music to play to create certain moods and things like that. But I also loved coding and loved doing visuals, so it was lacking in that department. Just kind of like a funny thing that I thought I'd show. I don't know if you guys have seen this, but super relevant, of course, right now with the coronavirus. So if you have seen that, that's actually me in the bottom middle with the red. So kind of a funny background history on that. I was very heavy into the goth industrial and cyber goth scene, so that's me from many, many years ago. But after that, so once I stopped DJing, I was really interested in, I'm in Orlando, Florida, and I was interested in kind of building up the community and bringing people together to show off projection work, interactive work, working with technology and different things like that. Because there weren't too many people doing it at the time. They were either working for very big companies or they were very elusive and hard to find who was out there doing stuff. So I wanted to build up a community of, encouraging people to show their work at these events. So I ran 2 events, surfaces, 2 different years back to back. And this was for projection mapping, interactive artwork, anything kind of experimenting with new technology and things like that. So I did an open call and I got a decent response. And so I got to go through the process of curating and kind of putting together the show. And that was a really enjoyable experience I liked. Another kind of like weird background showing a little bit about who I am. And the reason I wanted to show this is it's kind of like the core of who I am, or at least one part of me. So as you can probably guess from Synthestruct, my name, I really like structural things and I like very logical things that make a lot of sense and systems. And so this is a project that I worked on, a very personal project. I did it just for me, not for a client or anything like that. This is a conlang, constructed language that I created, and there was a period of about maybe like 2 or 3 years where I was obsessive about creating these systems that I would have an idea about, and then I couldn't sleep until I got it out of my head. And so this is one of those language systems that I would have certain words that I wanted to express that I couldn't find that word already existed in the English language or anywhere else. And so I use that as a means to kind of like piece together my idea of the ideal reality. And I think that plays a lot in my work too, is like wanting to create these realities that are in some ways, I guess, the improved version of our current reality. And so like, I think a lot of languages are very flawed. And so this is kind of my attempt, like if we could take what we know now and go back and rewrite our language, how would we do it? Here's another example of, I love number systems. And so this is very much like a graphical version of how I think about things. So this is a way of depicting the number systems as I guess multiples of the numbers. This was a while ago. So if I went back to try and get in the mindset of like some of these things that I did, it's kind of hard to even understand some of the systems that I created like many years ago. But there was a lot of logic and structure behind them. So what I was interested in doing is basically creating the symbols so that when they overlapped and interacted with each other, then they functioned mathematically as well. So like when they interacted with each other, they might overlap, and the addition of them created the symbol for the addition of those two things. So I use this a lot in my work too, of like trying to create logical systems that just are like perfectly make sense. Also with trying to build a community. So before, this is pre-TouchDesigner, I was heavy into processing and doing a lot of generative art with processing. And so I started up Processing Orlando, and I did a lot of creative coding meetups and tried to encourage people in Orlando to get into doing creative coding and to express that side of their interests. And so I did that for many years until I started working with TouchDesigner, in which case I kind of just absolved doing the Processing Orlando meetups and then kind of segued into doing local TouchDesigner workshops instead. But I did do a lot of stuff with processing. So one of my main interests, of course, that I focus on now as well is visualizing sound. So sound and audio, or sound and visuals play a lot heavily in my work because I'm synesthetic. So I see sound as personalities and as shapes and spatial relationships. And so a lot of what I do is trying to capture the personality of sound in the visuals that I do. And so this is just a shot of, I used to do some live performances, mainly focusing on working with modular synth musicians, because I've had a long time interest in working with modular synths. So previously I was doing the visuals, but mostly working with artists who were doing modular synths because I had an interest in that. And so currently now I'm getting more into the music side of working with modular synths and going more that direction with it. I was also very interested in visualizing the physics of sound. So these are actually photographs of cymatics, which is the physical sound vibrations. And so I did for many, many years, not so much currently, but for many years, I did a lot of videography, photography, and experiments with physical sound vibrations. And with cymatics, a lot of times, because it's usually periodic, you can get perfectly geometric shapes. And there's a lot of people that are photographing things that are perfectly geometric. And I was actually interested in, once I'd gotten enough of those photos that are perfectly geometric, experimenting with kind of like the more chaotic and interesting sides of it, of experimenting with different light sources and different camera techniques, and exploring different frequencies and different fluids that I was working with on the speaker and things like that. So I was interested in the science behind it, the wave mechanics and studying the science side of it, but also interested in how I could then translate that to interesting aesthetics that I could, have as an artistic output from that. So learning and then also doing the artistic output at the same time. Here's a couple more photos from that same process. So all of these are from just experimenting with a lot of different parameters to try and get different unique looks that were specific to the aesthetics that I was really interested in. So all of that, I experimented with a lot of stuff that I was interested in, but then finally I started getting into working with sensors and doing interactive stuff. And I really loved that it was working with real-time data. It was tapping into this hidden world of information around us that really interested me, working with things in real time. So when you do a certain behavior, then it responds directly to you, and creating these systems that respond to what you're doing and being able to have that full control over the systems and how they're created. So all of those things really interested me. But I also started to get into interactive installations, because when I was doing those languages and a lot of the other stuff that you saw, a lot of it was very esoteric, and a lot of it was kind of me creating these projects that weren't very easy to share with other people, because I didn't really expect anybody to learn these languages that I was creating, or when I created pieces that I just posted photos or video of, they could watch it, but they couldn't really interact with it. So I became really interested in the ability to create these experiences, kind of like when I was DJing, of like being able to orchestrate these experiences that other people are part of. And so I think that's what really interested me in going the direction of doing interactive installations, is being able to create these experiences that I can share with other people. So pretty much all of my work now is interactive in some way, whether it's doing live control for experimental performances and experimenting with different live control methods, or doing the interactive installation side of things. Pretty much everything that I do is working with some form of interactive live control. So right now, there's basically three main areas that I focus on with my work. I taught at a university locally in Orlando for many years. And then 2 years ago, I decided to leave teaching. So while I was teaching, I got to do all these other things on the side and kind of experiment with all these different areas that I was interested in. And then 2 years ago, I left my teaching job. And so I currently work independently full-time as an interactive designer and digital artist. And the three areas that I focus on are live performance, interactive installations, and workshops. So I'm going to show you some examples of those. I don't know if you guys have already seen some of these, but I'll go ahead and just kind of like show some examples of these again. So this is Viscerality. A lot of the performances that I've done recently, I work with Mimu gloves, which are sensor-enabled gloves. They have a gyroscope and flex sensors that can detect different gestures that you're making. And so you can program the gloves to control pretty much anything that you want, because they have MIDI and OSC. And so I use the gloves to control both the audio and the visuals in real time. So basically, I create the audio and visual system, and then during the live performance, I leave it kind of open-ended so that I can freely experiment with this playing again while I'm doing that, so that I can freely experiment with the performance in the moment, because I don't like the idea of having everything totally rehearsed and just going through the motions. And so I like creating these open-ended systems where during the performance, I can decide in the moment how I want to navigate these different spaces. For Viscerality, I actually did 19 shows in 4 days, which was a bit insane. And that's another reason why, for me personally, I wanted to keep every performance new and interesting to me, where there were like these variables where I didn't necessarily know what was going to happen. And so by doing that, that kept it interesting to me, so that when I did 19 performances, then it wasn't going through the same motions over and over again. This is a performance that I did at Art Tech House, also using the Mimu gloves. And so with this one, I was exploring through different scenes the mathematics of sound, and exploring basically each scene is a different visual representation of different the mathematics of different oscillations that I was working with FM synthesis. And so I'm really interested in, especially with synthesis and working with different oscillators, like the mathematical relationship between those and the sounds that it produced, but also the visuals that can be created from that mathematical relationship. So that whole performance was based on representing that in different ways. And for that, I also use the Mimu gloves to control everything in real time. By the way, if anybody's interested, I'm doing a Q&A on June 2nd for the Mimu community. So if anybody is interested in Mimu gloves, then I'm doing a Q&A presentation on June 2nd. Just a quick look at some other interactive installations I did. So this is a cymatics theremin that I did for the Orlando Science Center. And so it uses Elite Motion, but you play it like a theremin, so you can control the frequency and amplitude through the movement of your hand. And I was interested, because it's for the Science Center, in teaching people about physical sound vibrations. So it's designed where you can see on the bottom right, you can actually look inside of the structure and see the water that is then being projected directly in front of you, and creating these geometric patterns. So it's also kind of a challenge to see if you can create these different geometric shapes and explore the patterns that it makes through the different physical vibrations with the sound. This was at FITC, so obviously, you know, I've done a lot of work working with the Connect and different things like that, exploring different interaction. This was at Snap Gallery locally, working with an EEG sensor, which is the Muse, which some of you guys are probably familiar with. So what I did for this was a really interesting project, because one of the things that I love about the work that I do is that it's kind of an excuse to explore my interests and then have some kind of creative output. So most of my work is really just an excuse for me to learn about the things that interest me. And so for this installation, I actually took an online neuroscience class. I think it was Harvard, I want to say that it was, and did as much research as I could on you know, brainwave activity, and actually understand what the readings from the Muse were, so they actually understood what it was that I was working with, and not just working with, okay, here's a signal, I'm going to connect it to something, and then, oh, it's moving, so it must be meaningful. So I really wanted to understand exactly what the data was and use it in a meaningful way. And so this was an installation that I created that detected the level of focus from the individual, and then it would grow in response to their level of focus. And then here's another one that I did locally, and this one actually used a heartbeat sensor. And so the lights would pulse with their heartbeat. And then kind of wrapping up to the end here. So one of the things that I love about what I do is that every project is literally different. So all of these things come into play on the different projects that I work with. And since I'm currently working independently as an interactive designer and doing performances and workshops, it's really, I try to set it up the best that I can to get a mix of everything that I'm interested in. And the work that I do is really just a culmination of having so many different interests that I want to find a way to bring as many of those together as I possibly can into a single project. So, oh, sorry, and forgot I was going to talk about some recent stuff. So I've been working with shaders recently. GLSL is kind of my favorite focus at the moment. And especially with the coronavirus, I'm sure a lot of you guys are listening right now. Hopefully if you have time right now and you are sitting at home, taking advantage of this time to learn new things. GLSL is definitely one of those things where it's hard to focus on if you don't have a solid chunk of time. And so that's been my focus over the past couple weeks. I just wanted to give a shout out to everybody that has been sharing knowledge on the topic. So like over the past several weeks, I've basically been watching countless tutorials, reading several blog posts from Inigo. I'm not going to try and say his last name, but he has amazing stuff, articles on YouTube. Pretty much all of these people have been doing like some amazing sharing of knowledge. And so the thing that for me with GLSL was really helpful is being able to consume so many different sources of information to be able to piece it all together. And so I highly recommend checking out these people. And this isn't even the full list. So if I left somebody off, I apologize. But thank you to all of you guys who have been sharing your knowledge, and especially right now with the coronavirus, everybody that's been doing all these amazing tutorials, and the community's really been coming together to share a bunch of information right now. So thank you in general to everybody who's been sharing your knowledge on all the topics recently. Here's just another one. The thing that I love about shaders right now is that it's kind of, for me, a personal experiment, just exploring a visual style that I like and specific aesthetics that I like. Here is, I don't know if this is going to play. So what I did with these ones is I wanted to play with the aesthetics, but also, since I mentioned I'm doing more work with modular synths, what I did was I recorded these ones, and then after I recorded them, I had them playing on a screen, and then I sat down and then I composed the music. So these aren't directly responding to the music. I could have set them up that way, but different workflow. I actually created these, and then by watching them, composed the music afterward. Because I mentioned that for me, there's a very tight relationship between the personality of different forms and the music that coincides with them. And so one of the processes that I sometimes do is creating the visuals and then watching them and then composing music that matches that personality afterward. Anton, this was one of the most recent projects that I did, which is not going to autoplay. So this was a shader-based one that I did for UTech recently, and they had invited me to do something for their online experience that they had just created, and so I knew that it had to be embedded in the website. So this one I actually created in GLSL and TouchDesigner, but since it had to be embedded on their website, then what I did was I had to find a way to basically make the GLSL easily accessible on the web, but I wanted it to go with my current workflow of working with TouchDesigner, and I didn't want to have to start from the beginning, learn WebGL, and I'll learn all this other stuff as a sidetrack. So I ended up, the shaders are two different two different JS files, and then they're just linked together in a P5.js file and then embedded in an HTML file. So that was what I found ended up being the best workflow that was directly in line with how I was already working. And thank you. Hopefully I didn't go too much over time. I tend to talk fast. So thank you to everybody for listening. And if you guys are interested, please feel free to send me an email if you ever have any questions, or you can check out more of my work at those links. So thank you.
Thank you a lot. Oh, we have some feedback here. I'm God. Okay, now. Thanks a lot for this amazing presentation. Really inspiring, especially the last part was all of this GLSL and WebGL especially, I think is a very important stuff. But I also have another question for you, aiming at something I'm wearing already, with the Mutec Nexus. Can you tell us about that maybe a little bit more?
Yeah, and actually, so it's not the best video. I don't know why I did it on my phone and not a direct screen capture, but so you can see this is actually the Mutec portal. So their website, they worked with Currents FM. And so basically Currents built the web interface, I believe, and then the experience, basically, this was in the artist studios. So this was specifically mine. The artist studios had, I think, 5 different interactive pieces that you can kind of hit the next arrow and then go to the next one and go to the next one. So I think maybe all of them were shader based. I believe so that they could run really well on the website. But then separate from that, there were live AV performances where there were at least a couple where they had live visuals being streamed along with the musicians. And then separate from that, there were people DJing out of their homes. So they had multiple different rooms that they set it up. And it was actually really clever. So they wanted it to feel somewhat like the festival experience, but online. So they had different rooms that you could then go into, like the patio, and then there'd be somebody DJing with the schedule for the patio, and then they'd have like I think it was Gods and Monsters they called it, was like the main room that had the different AV performances, and so you could go in and watch that. And so they set it up literally, there was like a map of the venue, and then you would click on where you wanted to go. So it was a really interesting way of tying in the idea of being in a physical venue space, but then bringing that experience online. And they did an excellent job considering, they had a very short period to translate what was going to be an in-person experience in San Francisco to this online experience.
Thank you a lot. Sorry. So it's hard for me a little bit to follow, but are there plans to repeat this style of festival in the future?
That's a really good question. So if things continue the way that they are, then because they've already built a platform, I would imagine that they would be able to reuse it. Because of course, Mutec, there's the San Francisco one, but there's also the Montreal Mutec, and I think Barcelona, Mexico, and Japan. I think there's quite a few of them. So since they've built the the web structure for it already, I would think that they could reuse it. And then you had a question up on the screen. I didn't get a chance to read it. Did you have, after you dove into the EEG scan, would you say the data from the brainwave sensors are usable, or does it stay in the area of noise? Yeah, so there's definitely tricks that you can do. So what I ended up doing was coming up with, so I used a custom algorithm, which was based on some research that I did, which was the theta to theta ratio. And using that, but then you do have to, in TouchDesigner, what I did was an average over, I'm trying to remember because this was like a year ago. I did a running average over X number of samples, which helps to balance it out. So it might be a little bit noisy, but if it's, one thing that you can do for this sensor and for all sensors is if it is a little bit noisy, then to basically take an average of X number of samples over, let's say, like, 0.1 seconds or something like that, so that you get a smoother data trail.
Okay, so it seems like you already answered the first question. So we will switch over to our community section here. So Stefan, Carlos, maybe ask some more questions.
Yeah, well, unfortunately, we messed up with the YouTube stream a little bit, so we have very few people here. But there is one interesting question. It comes from Balam Solo, and is asking, what is the best practice for building projects for both platforms, Win and Mac, especially with OpenGL? Yeah.
TouchDesigner. I haven't done as much work, unfortunately, with OpenGL, separate from being within TouchDesigner, working with basically just the scripting in the GSL top and the GSL material. When I translated it to the web specifically, so I didn't use OpenGL for that. Basically what I did, and they're very similar, I know, but slightly different process. So with the web version, what I did was there's one JS file that is for the fragment shader, and a separate JavaScript file that's for the vertex shader. And then I use P5JS just as basically a template that would link it and be the program that basically pulls in the shaders and links it together. And then you can create the uniforms in P5JS. So I knew that I wanted it to be interactive. And so what the P5JS side of it let me do was then get things like the mouse interaction and create the audio working with their audio library is like the HTML audio or HTML5 audio, something like that. So that allowed me to use P5JS to get the interactive website of things and create uniforms out of those, and then send those to the attached linked JavaScript files. Hopefully that makes sense. So like in a short, I don't know as much about specifically OpenGL. I know they overlap a lot, but my current process is working mostly in TouchDesigner for the GLSL.
Okay. Okay. Sorry for that. Carlos, what do you have on your side on the Twitch chat for questions?
Actually, we don't have any more questions for now here. I'm asking exactly that. Like, do you have any other questions for Ginger right now at the moment? But it was that question from Roy that Ginger already answered that. But there's one that just appeared. So, what is your ultimate level of interaction you would like to investigate?
Ginger, what is your ultimate level of interactivity?
Yeah, no, this is a great question, actually, because questions that force us to dream, like, what's your ultimate dream if there were no limitations? I'm not 100% prepared to answer this, I'll admit, but I can say, because I'm really interested in biohacking, and I really love experiences that tap into multi-sensory experiences and really drawing you out of reality. I wouldn't say that I create experiences that are intentionally escapism, but I do like creating experiences that bring you into a space where you're completely detached from the external reality and completely immersed in feeling that the experience is real. So I'm going to be thinking about this tonight for sure. So I would say the ultimate level of interaction, I'm very interested in working with sensors, but I also really want to create my own sensors. So if things go the way that I want them to, I hope that over the next year, I can bring together the things that I like about all these different sensors and actually try and work on creating my own sensor, which would then feed into the ultimate interaction through my eyes, is because I could then have full control of bringing together the best parts of all these interactive sensors and experiences that I've worked with. So that would be my wish list of being able to make a custom interactive controller sensor that had all of the things that I really wanted it to have based on my experiences with the others.
Sounds very intriguing. So we're going to look out for a Ginger Tech, I suppose, in the future. So you also brought us a video clip, if I'm not mistaken. So I think we're going to go to the AV screening part now. Thank you a lot, Ginger. Stay maybe in the call for later so we can have a...
Oh. Can you hear me?
Okay, sorry. Yeah, you can totally say something.
Thank you. I just wanted to tell you guys a little bit of a background of what you're about to see so that you know more of what it is. So during the uncommercial break, you're going to see a AV collaboration video between myself and Gadi Sassoon. So as I mentioned earlier, I love modular synthesizers, and he is a musician working with modular synthesizers. He's in Italy. So I went over there when I was basically traveling. I was right by Italy, so I stopped by there for 2 days, and we worked on the collaboration in his studio. He created the audio from scratch while I was there in the studio, so he came up with all the music on the spot. And then I was taking an audio feed from his mixer from each of the modules separately, and then I created the visuals on the spot to match the personality of the sounds that he was creating. And what that allowed him to do was then, seeing the visuals respond in real time to what he was doing, then that inspired him to then play more with the sound, and then he could play the sound seeing the visual feedback, and then it was kind of this fun whole process. So what you're going to see is I actually then recorded 4 versions and then cut together my favorite parts. So that's what you're about to see.
So, the audio-visual modular feedback loop, basically. Mm-hmm. Film up. And welcome back in Berlin after this fascinating feedback loop of music and visuals. As you might have seen, I already moved a little bit over because we have our first guest here on the couch. So maybe Christos, come over.
Hello, everybody.
So Christos is not alone. So maybe we can see the colleagues of you, and then you can tell us
They're
something.
currently seated in London, Valja and Andreas.
Hello.
And,
Hi.
1 second. Yeah, maybe I will just give a short introduction. You are from the collective Aejaa, if I'm right, and you are Christos Atsinas. Atsinas, perfect. And your colleagues sitting in London in the Skype call right now are Andreas. And how do you spell this second name, this last name? It's like
Levisianos.
Levisianos. No offense.
Very good, very good.
And Valja Rasa. Rasa? 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 So now we have you on the line, and I will just give you the headphones so you can actually hear them talking. And we will move the massive laptop sitting over there and have a look at it. So,
Everything is okay.
okay. And
Okay. Oh, no.
here we have the. With all this awesome technique, it still comes down to plugging something in on air and plugging something down. So, have fun with Christos and the team.
So, hello, everybody. We're here to present Aejaa, but first of all, we would like to thank Node Institute, and of course Stefan and all the people that are here and taking care of the stream and all this crazy, amazing setup. Can we also have the presentation on the screen? That will be nice. So a short introduction for myself. I'm Christos. I have a background in 3D design, video, motion graphics, and of course the last 2-3 years in love with TouchDesigner. And now we'll pass to Andreas to continue and start the presentation of our work.
Thank you, Chris. Hi, all. I'm Andreas. I'm from Greece, and my background is in music. I am a composer and a conductor with a focus on modern music, mainly from the 50s, musicologist as well. So it's related to music.
Hi, Anya. My background is in architecture and technology, and I'm also in dance creation and organization.
So, Andrea, you can start with a presentation.
Okay. So, I mean, Aejaa was an idea that we kind of entertained in a while, but I guess that we found right now with the whole situation the perfect setting in actualizing what we had in mind. I mean, the idea was very simple in the beginning. I am in London, Christos is in Berlin, and we would like to play together. Christos is an excellent visual artist. I'm a musician myself, so we decided to take it a little bit further and create kind of a platform or create an environment that we can actualize our ideas and see each other's aesthetics. This is how Aejaa was created right now, though the idea was, was born kind of 3 years ago. So essentially, Aejaa is a platform for remote collaboration. It's a place that friends can gather and we can share music, video, motion, anything that we can collaborate with remotely. We have had around 25 performances so far. We were very fortunate to collaborate with people that they showed interest in the platform and the way that we are working. Mainly, the performances that we have done are visual and audio content. They are collaborative. Everything is live, and I mean, we would like to keep expanding and exploring the area. The thing that really interests us right now, and the thing that we have found that has ignited kind of the whole interest, is the medium itself. And after all, it creates kind of a different plateau, a different environment for us to explore different aesthetic approaches. It gets a little bit beyond or different than all of the online performances that we have seen. I mean, there's nothing wrong with them, but we want to get away from the performance, from the main thing that is happening right now online, and artists on their houses, on Facebook or on Instagram that represent their work. Again, this is absolutely fine, this is really great. We want to take it to a different kind of level. See what the medium itself can give us. See what this thing can inspire to us. And the real time is the one factor. The quality, as Christos is going to speak afterwards, is the second factor. And the place, the hosting that Valia is going to speak in the second, is the third thing. What is the umbrella? I mean, how we can call the whole thing, and what does this thing inspire? As I said before, so far we've had around 25 performances. That every single one was different than the other, which is delightful. We were fortunate to work with excellent artists from many different countries. I mean, we are all Greeks, so we know many Greeks. It's the vast majority of the artists are in Greek. I studied in the United States, so we're working with many artists from there as well. Christos is in Berlin, and we're expanding the countries and the places that we're working. To give you kind of an idea of the kinds of collaborations that we have done so far, actually last one on Sunday, we had 4 pianos playing from 4 different cities in the world at the same time. A beautiful piece by a great Greek composer, Minas Bourgoudakis. And we managed to put together people from Indianapolis, Maryland, Canary Islands, and Tenerife, and Athens, all playing at the same time with a quality that actually it satisfies my taste in this specific case. What else can we say? Yes, the thing is, right now we're very fortunate to work, to start working with institutions as well, that they have expressed interest in the platform, the way that we're working. Currently, we're working with the California Institute of the Arts in LA, that they are doing a 6-week event every Thursday night called the Colored Thursday Night Gallery Events. And we are streaming. I mean, we have undertaken the task of streaming work from alumni, and we are opening the program every Thursday at 6 p.m. LA time. It's early in the morning for us, and then it's 2 o'clock for us and 3 o'clock for Berlin. But me, Christos, and Valia are working towards that. And actually tonight, we'll have a performance that we're very much looking forward to. John Cage's lecture on Nothing is going to be streamed by a great friend of mine, Melty Megia, a wonderful vocalist. She's going to read the text. I made the visuals, and we're going to stream soundscapes from the balcony in London. More to come, of course, and stay in tune to all of the performances that are coming. I'm going to pass it on to Valia to speak about the theoretical thing and what is the umbrella of Aejaa in general.
Okay, so as I read, the initial idea was to create a space where where performances could take place, artists could collaborate remotely, the events and the happenings, interactive. So we decided to wrap up all these ideas and create a medium with its own aesthetic frame, and we followed an architectural approach. So, as I think you can see, there's the homepage of the site, the so-called foyer for us, that offers an overview and directs the visitors to the different rooms.
Christos, can you actually go to the slide of the foyer of the homepage? Because we're seeing the video right now.
Yes. It is in video.
Okay, so this is the video room, where projects with visuals and sound can be presented. Then we have the sonic room, which focuses on sound. Great. And then with the third room, which is portico, and that's the room that hosts the CalArts, the collaboration we have with CalArts, California Institute of Arts, as Andreas mentioned, and features performances from CalArts alumni. And then we have the library room, where the visitor can go and look for past events and find some kind of documentation of the events that have already taken place on Aejaa. So the way Aejaa connects with the outer world is through links to other platforms, to YouTube, to Instagram, and Facebook, and this is our way to communicate Aejaa's activity. Again, we use this our own approach. We don't just put a post on Facebook. We create our own posters for each individual event. What else?
I think we've covered it all. So yes, I mean, yes.
The other thing that I would like to stress was the significance of Aejaa as a medium. So we realized that the medium itself is very promising, and the artists are really interested in trying to find ways to create site-specific projects. That is, creating projects that take into consideration Aejaa itself as a medium. And one of our future steps is to also explore the levels of interactivity on the role of the users, and see how we can play with that, so that the user can participate in the actual creative process. I think I'm fine. Yeah, I think we can move in.
One more thing. Before we go to the technicals, I have one more thing to add to the future, to ideas in the future, besides interactivity that Vale was saying, that to make the audience part of the performances as well, see how they can interact, not only in non-real time. I mean, that's the one part, creating installations or actually commission pieces to composers to write for the medium, but actually play with us and kind of participate in real time in the things that they want to contribute. Our communication with the university fortunately continues. Besides CalArts, we have already discussed with the University of Oklahoma that they have expressed interest, in other institutions that they would like to present their work through the medium, and actually to the platform to function as a educational ground for people to experiment and present work in kind of different ways or in new ways. I'm going to pass it on to Christos right now to speak about how this thing works.
Nice, thank you, Andrea. So we'll describe a bit the technical part, which is, of course, we're using TouchDesigner. So TouchDesigner is the main, the mother application, let's say. And through TouchDesigner, we're handling all the signals that come into in different ways. And from there, we use like OBS and Twitch to stream to the internet. And this is the main part, the main part of the broadcast. The interesting part in the technical side, it's the performers setup, that everything that happened behind the scenes, how we bring all these people from around the world together before we actually stream and do the performance. It depends a lot the setup and the needs of each performance, but basically we're using again WebRTC for the video and the audio part when it's needed, IceCast for the audio, OBS, NDI tools, and Web Audio IP. We are now building on that a new application that there will be based the interactivity of the site. Now, the last 2 weeks, we were able to stream full HD. That we are very happy about that, in a very good quality also. And we would like to move more for 2K implementation, but until now there is some limitations from the side of Twitch, because you cannot stream 2K in a high bit rate, so you don't have so good quality of the image, so it doesn't worth it until now to do something like that. But the next exciting news is that we are eventually want to move in our own stream platform, where we are going to handle the limitation, and I hope soon that we will have that. The last part is that we are building now also a WebRTC application dedicated for Aejaa, in order to handle all the background and the backstage connections. And one thing for like TouchDesigner and Marcus, that he is also in the stream with us, is like the idea of having also in TouchDesigner the WebRTC protocol. I would like again to thank all the people that for the invitation, and also to mention Nico, our designer, who did all the design for the site, and Artem Titkov, which is the developer that's taking care of the WebRTC application right now. Stefan, Paul, everyone, thanks a lot for the invitation, and all the community, as TouchDesigner community. And now we're going to move for the video, right?
No.
Okay.
Because Stefan and Carlos, yeah, we still have 5 minutes. So, Stefan, anything from YouTube?
Yeah, unfortunately, YouTube is still empty, deserted. I have nothing to contribute. Sorry.
But Carlos. Just comments.
Okay. Well, then I would wonder, what do I have to do to perform on Aejaa? Which I prefer to pronounce Aejaa.
Okay, yes. Of course, you can reach out to us like through Facebook or through our personal account. It's actually very easy. You can like the page Aejaa in Facebook, and you can directly communicate with us. And then we discuss about the project. We see like the technical part and the needs. We adapt our platform or the needs of of the performance. And usually until now we were able to do everything with success. So we believe that we would like to hear and people, if they have crazy ideas, like bring it on to see what we can do with that and how we can create a solution and a performance that is challenging for all of us.
Exactly. I mean, taking the next step to what Christopher just made. This is the thing. Right now, we are trying.
Do you think that it would also make sense to make something like this TouchDesigner Roundtable on your platform, or would that be like something that just doesn't belong there, or how do you think about things like that?
We are thinking about like broadcast and to have in the platform conversation or round tables, so that could be also a possibility, and we would like to, of course, to accommodate an event like this. We're really super honored to have like the round table of TouchDesigner in our platform. That will be amazing.
Absolutely.
Awesome. Any more questions from maybe someone in the community by now thought about a question, but I see
or feedback or suggestions.
One question from Twitch. Carlos?
Yeah, so they have now, can you connect Aejaa to Unity?
To Unity? Actually, you can use, if you are using Unity, of course we can stream from Unity. So the visual, the performers share with me, like I am in the central, let's say, streaming. So we can stream out like the screen or the output of the Unity, and of course we can accommodate such.
So, in theory, we could also invite people from the V4 community or from the Unreal community. So it's open strictly for everyone, basically.
Exactly. We already have done a performance like with some people that they was using Resolume, or so it's open to any software actually. That the real-time implementation software, because we would like to keep that.
Okay.
If it's not
real-time only.
not like this, but yes, the goal is to have everything real-time.
Awesome. So when we don't have any more questions, you prepared an AV screening also. So it's oh, I think we still got one question. One more for you.
So, here they ask, can we present an audiovisual performance in 360 degrees as well?
To tell you the truth, I haven't searched yet something like that, but why not? Like, yeah. I cannot answer right now, but I would like to
this is the task for the weekend.
It's the task for the weekend, yes. Yeah, for sure we can research and see how we can implement such a request.
360, VR, AR, just to name some buzzwords.
Okay.
Okay, so now we go to the video because we have to walk forward. Pacquetta is waiting. So I would say thank you, stay in line. Thank you, stay in line. And we will have a group picture in the end. Thanks a lot, Christos.
Thank you very much.
And everyone.
Ciao.
Film up.
Ο κόσμος είναι μεγάλος. Αεροπλάνα των οργώνων συνεχώς προς όλες τις κατευθύνσεις. Ταξιδεύω. Μπορώ να αυτοδεσμευτώ είτε να ακολουθήσω ένα δεδομένο γεωγραφικό πλάτος. Είτε να διασχίσω τις Ηνωμένες Πολιτείες της Αμερικής ακολουθώντας την αλφαβητική σειρά των πολιτιών. Είτε να εξαρτήσω το πέρασμα από μια πολιτεία σε μια άλλη, από το αν υπάρχουν δύο μόνιμες πόλεις. Κατάπληξη και απογοήτευση από τα ταξίδια. Η ψευδαίσθηση ότι έχεις νικήσει τις αποστάσεις, ότι έχεις διαγράψει το χρόνο. Η αίσθηση του να είσαι μακριά.
Ginger, it seems like you're still sharing your screen. Is that possible?
That was mesmerizing. Just give me a second. Okay. Really, really beautiful artwork. So, thank you a lot, and thanks again for Aejaa. It sounds kind of weird to spell it out like this. So our next guest we have on stream. I think I actually also met him here in Berlin for the first time in person when he was doing a workshop in, I think it was like a sound studio, and he is really impressive and pretty big driving force behind a lot of the new tops we can see in the newest version release branch, like the whole math chops. I think you already know where this is going. Pacquetta, Aurelian Pacquetta 12. Welcome to the TouchDesigner Roundtable number 10. Oh, it's a house. Aurelian? So, so maybe I'm just going to say something, because what we are actually seeing now is Aurelian's home. He's doxing himself right now. So, and it's like a all-time running, or like over a longer time running interactive online festival. Okay, now I see Skype. Hello, Aurelian. Stefan, I think you might be able to tell a little bit more about the project Aurelian is currently working on.
Yeah, the thing is that when I asked Aurelian if he wanted to join the roundtable, he wanted, but he also said that at the same time he's booked for a festival in Romania, and because they also couldn't do it live, they invited several artists to basically map their own homes and then to stream that experience, and I think we caught Aurelian in the middle of that.
So, what else can we do now? Do we have like kind of a backup plan? Yeah, so I don't know, Marcus, are you there right now? Okay, Marcus isn't here either. Yeah, you can definitely hear something from Aurelian. Oh, and the doggy. Hello, doggy. Okay, so that Aurelian's not talking.
Can you hear me?
Also ich habe den auf Skype. Der spricht mit uns. Der fragt, ob wir ihn hören können.
Okay. Seems like another sound issue. No one's thinking about sound all the time. So, can you hear Aurelian in the stream?
Wieland,
I hear you, Wieland.
yes, I hear you all, I believe.
Hear you all.
Okay, so... Okay, so it seems like I'm the only person, again, not able to hear Aurelian. So, Aurelian, really sorry for the technical difficulties, but let's just say the stage is yours. So, you have the next 15 minutes to tell us about your
so
project you're
I
working
hope
on
you
right now, because
will
it
keep
looks
well.
lovely.
So I'm in the middle of a festival here in Romania where 20 artists are streaming some projection and mapping, and yeah, I'm beaming on my house, and I have tried to make something like building a grid out of a 3D object that I built very quickly in SketchUp, and so I would like to share my screen with you and walk you through my system. And okay, so can someone confirm that my screen is shared now?
Yeah, so the video quality of your webcam just drops, so can we have the
yeah, I don't hear you. So if someone can confirm that my sound is good, I can go on and talk
just
about
one second.
this. So okay. So you hear me, Stefan?
Yes.
Okay. Yes, the sound it's good. So okay, I will go anyway, and yeah, maybe some of you will see this and hear me. So I built an FBX of my house, very brutal, very simple, and the thing that I don't really like is that the size. It's out of 0-1 box. So here I made a component which scale everything inside 0-1 cube size, and it's quite easy. I grab the point, and in tops I rescale actually, and then bring it in the center. And now I have this little file here, and now I'm glad I'm between 0-1, and everything will make sense. So now I'm taking this into a render in which I only need this normal map, right? So okay. Okay, sorry about that. And these colors arrangement helped me to use Snapper and have the build matched on the volume of the house. Also, I might use this SSIO here, and the thing when your object is in between 0-1, and so this value should be correspondent with your scale. And so if inside 0, 1 I have a kind of a big volume, then obviously SSI or radius will be very, very, very small. Okay, so I do that. And what else I would like to do here, because here, if you watch the geometry, yeah, it's quite ugly, and would be killing job to actually build from the beginning something with very clean parts and so on. Okay, and I was thinking how to transform this into something that might look like perfect grid. Okay, and so I go here, and I use a very, very little GLSL only to put here the normals, okay, in a texture which is very small. It's 64 by 64. That means if I will instance those points here, I'll have a grid, right? So yeah. And now that I have those points, I actually try to draw the grid. And okay, here I also take the depth and yeah, and here I wanna build the textures that I use to instance a line first or on every point and orient it to the oriented to the pixels above, and the other instance system oriented to the right pixels. So I do that here. This is just a noise to, if you can see now, I have a perfect grid, and I can go very, very high here, like I don't know, I can go like 1024, and you would see a surface. And now if I noise that, yeah, it actually looks like a surface if you have some noise value not so big, right? And I do that here just by having the texture, yes, the UV, and here I translate it up, right, 1 pixel, and here I translate it to the right, and I subtract, and so I have a vector directions, right? This is all the normalized way we do in some tutorials. And now those two textures with the rotate to vectors, I use them for the lines. So here I have the let me reduce the number. Okay, I will say 64 again, right? And only to see that now my lines, right, are connected very nice, and I have 2 of those, and yeah, my final image after I use stone and so on would look like this. And yeah, now okay, just a second, because I need to go into a stream, and I might need to stop the camera here. Okay, so I will stop it here. I hope I still have my share screen, because we'll go there in a second. So let me refresh this, because I need to go into the stream. So okay, I'm in. Okay, now we good, and yeah, this was my build. I wanted to give that impression of having a very dense grid on a surface that I built quite fast in SketchUp actually. And yeah, this is this is the network that I did for this event. I really hope that you hear me well, or you see what I'm streaming, and it's really a pleasure to be in your roundtable. Thank you so much, Stefan, and you guys.
Yeah, it's always a pleasure with you, Aurelian. So, just seeing the Skype symbol right now, but I think that's okay. So,
Okay, now I know, but I don't hear you now, and yeah, I just need to arrange something for the next round. So yeah, okay, just let me make something here for the next. So first, yeah, I need to flip this, right? Okay. Okay. And yeah, here. Okay, so it might be okay for what is coming. Yeah. Okay. Now, yeah, just I'm waiting my turn for the stream. So after the 2 minutes here, I'll be done here. So yeah, thanks again, guys, for having me. It's really an honor for me. Thank you so much.
okay, so I suppose, if I understood right.
Yeah, he's waiting now for his time to be on the stream, so I guess we leave him.
Okay, so maybe let's see if the community has some more general questions to us, the team, or Stefan, or maybe some questions about the setup. Thanks, Aurelian, definitely. It's always a pleasure, as I wanted to say. So, can we show the link maybe to the whole stream? Do we know where exactly it is? Okay. I don't know. Any questions from the community in the more general direction of the roundtable?
Okay, also wir haben erstes können wir jetzt eine Masse abfeuern. Questions?
Yeah, so they say, can you explain the screen behind you?
Oh, which screen do you mean, Zeotime? The screens. So, the whole design setup is actually done by Stefan Kraus, who's over there. So, and we're making heavy use of the NVIDIA Flow setup. And we're currently running it from I can't move it, but from our small form factor ITX PC with an RTX 2080, and it's like at the limit. Then we are feeding the one 4K signal in a data path FX4, and then we split in four, I think these 4 screens here. 1, 2, 3, 4, and the other 2 are just directly connected to the graphics card. And then, because the setup is surprisingly simple, we just take one container and one window, and we just like span it over all 3 screens we have in this situation. And this one is just it's just broken. actually broken, and it's playing back from my small X230, and it's stuttering just playing back this video. So yeah. Oh yeah, and also the Node Institute and the TouchDesigner Roundtable here are overlaid by containers, because otherwise we would have to use composites on like this bigger than 4K textures. So we opted with using containers in containers to just like overlay this this content. So it's running should be running at 60 FPS or 30. We think we opted for 30 FPS. Any more questions from the community?
Yeah, people ask where we can see the stream. I also wrote that to Aurelian. Maybe he's busy.
Okay, so we will definitely give you the link the moment we have it. Okay, so now we have one AV screening before we will dial in to Toronto. It's a clip made by Stefan.
Yeah, usually we ask our guests if they have videos for us, but yeah, we didn't get too many, so I had to pitch in with work that I created together with the musician Mark Sauter. And the concept behind it is a bit, you know, the world is destroyed, there's no more humans, but then there is this artificial intelligence who finds artifacts of the world and thinks about what that might have been, and that's how that looks like.
So, film. Im Garten der kybernetischen Strukturen? Kreaturen. Im Garten der kybernetischen Kreaturen. I mean, some German is always nice. So, that was fun. It's a really nice video. See some relaxing work from Stefan from time to time. I work with him a lot, and it seems like I rarely see a lot of work from him. So it's always good to see some work of the people you're actually working with. So a lot of people were asking about donations, and in fact we're pretty flattered. So you can buy donation tickets to the roundtable, and definitely really, really nice of you that you want to support us and the Node Institute. What you can also do to support the Node Institute and the upcoming roundtables are two things. You can register in the on the Node Institute website, www.thenodeinstitute.org, and take part in the workshops, webinars, and courses offered on this website. Or you can also partake in the Node Institute and offer knowledge yourself. This is also already helping us a lot to build and bring the community forward as a whole. So yeah, and the third part, what you can do for the next roundtable is take part in it. If you have a nice project, if you have some interesting project, some technique, if it's so small, write us a message, and we will do our best to bring your vision to the community. That's what we're here for. Okay, so we also, I just hear from the direction, we have the link from Aurelian online. So it's a Facebook event. I think you can remove the last part. So it's the, well, I can't see it anymore. But anyway, just check it in the chat of the stream and click it, and then you can follow the stream of Aurelian. Marcus. You there, Marcus?
How's it going?
Perfect. So here it's quite dark in Berlin right now, but seems sunny in Toronto.
Not quite sunny, just bright.
Just bright.
And hot. Yeah.
Already.
We went from snow to heat warning in approximately 7 days. Skipping spring completely, yet again.
Yet again. Let's hope that at least the summer is. So, Marcus, what do you have for us today from the headquarters of TouchDesigner?
Well, first, really nice to be, that's the 10th one, your 10th roundtable. Congratulations. Started as an exclusive non-streamed event.
Yeah.
Now it's an exclusive streamed event. So
and I think we can't go back now, probably.
No, yeah, that's that ship has sailed. And yeah, really like your studio setup. Having a couch definitely is. Every stream should have a couch with a monitor wall behind them.
Yeah. I don't know, the story to this monitors, because someone asked us at first, I just bought them for another project and I couldn't use them, and then we were like, okay, let's use them for the stream and give this really nice setup. So everything's working together here.
Makes perfect sense to have these things together, reuse things that you get for other projects. Yeah, well, what have we been doing? We've been chugging away on all the different things. I'm probably going to get later to all the various list of things that we've been working on that you can also see referred to in a post that we did, but I'll talk about this later, as I said. And maybe start with where we want to help people understand or learn maybe a little bit more self-guided learning in the custom operator section of TouchDesigner. So if we can switch to my screen here, then everybody basically knows this custom operator section in the upgrade dialog, but normally it's really empty. There's nothing there, and the idea is almost, well, now you got to learn C++, and now you got to figure all of that out and what can go in there, and read a lot of documentation, etc. The thing about learning C++ and reading documentation will not go away, but what we're trying to do is give you a couple stepping stones for that. So right now, you can go into the derivative TouchDesigner sample C++ folder, and there is some basic operators, custom operators, but still there's a lot of functionality bunched into them, and you're kind of left to your own devices to figure out what they're doing. So we have Gabriel working with us for his co-op term this year for the next, I think it's another 3 months still. And one thing he's working on is for every family, create from the most basic to more complex custom operators so that people learning can follow along and maybe see the basic building blocks towards the advanced. So what we had before as well, like a custom sub, where very simple, like you can create a point, a line, a square, or a cube, for example. So really basic things, or a simple filter, a simple custom filter here, which given a chop with 3 channels, let me just create that. With 3 channels, doesn't even matter what they're named. 1, 2, 3, and this basically then uses the chops to move the box. So simple things. All of this will be published with the source code then, so that you can step through it. And this goes a little bit further then to ideas of, okay, how can we, for example, create a spiral? That's often, it's a little bit more difficult. I mean, you can use a pattern chop or something like this to do this as well. But here you see how to create a spiral just from points, made from a line, or made with triangle strips. Again, 3 different techniques that should shed a little bit of lights on the underworkings of our custom operator API. There's also some very functional stuff here. We do have there's, for example, one of the first ones that are very functional is the €1 filter, an implementation of the €1 filter that lets you filter out noisy values in a very much more, how to best put this, much more accurate way, predictive way than our current filter chop does that. So there's examples, but also very useful elements in there. So this is Gabriel, our co-op, working on this, and we're looking forward on seeing a whole family of examples in here covering all families, all operator families that have access to custom operators. Currently, chop subs. Tops have been worked on, but DUTs are coming then later as well. Yeah, another thing, this is something that I'm myself working on, is this little, it's an installer that basically creates an installer. So the idea here is that you can use this, and you see some layout issues here, so working on it. The idea here is that you want to publish your own application, essentially, or send your application to somebody you know, a customer, whatever, and you want to package that with TouchDesigner. So you can give it a name. Usually, you would also specify a URL of the developer, and that's me. And the application version is 1.0. And then you select the project folder where your where this project is located in, and the project file, which should be the file that that's starting up when after it's being installed. And you can specify your own icon, the splash screen, something I'm working on as well right now. And you can select the TouchDesigner installer that should be used with, where is it here? That should be used with this application. Then you can choose if it should start up with TouchDesigner or TouchPlayer. And when you hit next and install, it's not necessarily installing. What it's actually doing is it's building an installer. So it's a little bit an inception, but the I was building the Inno installer, which is currently, or which since the last release is the new installer that is used with TouchDesigner. And now instead of learning yet something else, I just thought, okay, I'll just use the same engine to build this project packager. And let's see, for demonstration reasons, I packaged the installer in as a complete installation. Otherwise, this would take way too long to actually run, like as a demo. And but the result is basically, Marcus, welcome to the Marcus Setup Wizard. And oh yeah, look, I mixed that up. I made Subvisor that was supposed the application name doesn't matter. And it follows the same thing as before. It basically installs your application, your files, all your project files, and it copies TouchDesigner into parallel. So it doesn't really copy, it doesn't install TouchDesigner as such. It just copies it into the same folder as the engine. And this is taking a little bit, but that's okay. And on the back end, what you get is you get the same icons on your desktop. We'll have more options for that. You get the same thing in your apps and features list. I guess I called it Marcus. So it shows up as an application that you can remove from here. And it's still installing TouchDesigner. Otherwise, it shows up in your start menu, which you can't see right now, since I'm not sharing that screen. And from that, you can just start it then. Let me see if this is actually going. Takes a bit. Yeah, this is, what else can I talk about in the meantime? So it's the first steps to give you the possibility to deliver a more packaged project, basically, where the user, when they start your project, will see some remnants of TouchDesigner, especially also in the splash screen. But otherwise, it comes as its own application. So users don't have to install separately TouchDesigner, then get your files. You can put all your files into the project folder. It's all well sorted. There's no separate downloads. It's still the same size as TouchDesigner plus your project files. Like you're not, we're talking about how it will be to remove certain functionality. We have, for example, 2 installers at the moment as well, which is the regular installer with its 800 megabytes and launch Marcus. I like that. And the other thing is the no Azure installer, which takes off, I don't know, is that like 500 megabytes less, because the deep neural networks of the Azure are missing, and these files are so huge that yeah, they take up a lot of space in the installer. So we're thinking about these kind of things as well, and lots more to come. But I think actually the first steps of this, what I showed you with a couple more options for creating desktop icons, etc., will be available fairly soon for you to try and run generally. Yeah. Then the other thing is that we had a post on the forum, or we had a community post, which we called the COVID-19 community check-in, resources and what's in development. Let's talk. And it's currently pinned, like the forum post is pinned to our forum so that everybody can see it right away. It's a little bit a question of or trying to engage you and getting your stories about this pandemic out there, and how you've been coping with it, responding to it, etc. This is in an effort to get more, to basically get information from everybody, so that we together can build maybe a clearer picture of the future, essentially, and where all of this is going. I mean, I myself frequent websites like AV Magazine, or also AVI XA, which I find very interesting. They have these COVID-19 impact surveys for the AV industry, more focused, I believe it's a little bit more focused on the US, but still very interesting. And they cover, like, there's a lot of interesting articles in their blogs as well, where people in the industry talk about where they see it going, how they're adopting. And I think this informs us quite a bit as well, because these people in the AV industry take decisions that impact a lot of you in your professional life, like what projects you will be working on, etc. So for me, these kind of reads are really interesting to look. I also really like the Future Today Institute. It's an institute run by AB Webb, and she publishes, or the institute publishes once a year, the Tech Trends Report, which gives you a little bit of preview of where they see things coming, short term and long term. Really good to read through generally. And following her bit, Amy Webb, is, I think, a good idea anyway, because she also has a little bit of advice in general on how you might be looking into the future, or yeah, how you can adapt to these situations right now. So this is something that this post is basically about. We're looking at what we're doing, and we are trying to provide the tools and develop the tools that help you. We're listing in the article that's linked in the forum, we're listing a couple of the things that are currently at the forefront of our development. So Wrench AI body tracking, things like this. The last time we mentioned this already, the really heavily ongoing work on converting our graphics engine to Vulkan. This is going very well, and it's very promising development. And on the other hand, obviously, we are working on tools that are currently needed. So what's in the streaming world needed. Given that, I mean, one thing also with taking what's used today is not necessarily what you can project into the future. Like, the future might look totally differently, but right now we can use, we can develop and great tools that help you right now. So please give us feedback in this post here. It would be really nice. There's already a couple posts here from some very recognizable names, but we'd love to, oh, look at that, Wieland. But we'd love to see more on that end right there.
Hey, that's me.
Wieland is laughing.
Yeah, I was just the Leonardo DiCaprio meme.
Okay. Lastly, with all this streaming going on, we've got our own little in-session stream. I announced it last time that we're going for it, and since then we have done it twice because we're trying to do it in a 3-week time frame, every 3 weeks. The first time we went with, because it seemed to be the next logical thing to use, we went with this webinar platform, and it turned out that this really doesn't suit our needs. The frame rate was terrible, and there was not much of layout options. The only thing that was usable was the direct integration with Slack. Like the questions asked there could be sent to Slack, but that was basically it. So for the second edition now, we went ahead and used an existing project, which is the Scener that I talked about in a Berlin workshop and an Amsterdam workshop before, and adopted it basically as a streaming platform, not platform, but an environment where, same as you, can bring in people via Skype. And we did the screen sharing differently because we wanted to have this frame rate. And I'm not sure, you probably cannot see it because via Skype, the frame rate is not as great. But with this software Parsec, or with this platform Parsec, we were able to get basically 60 frames per second across while screen sharing. One thing we found was that the mouse cursor is missing. We didn't realize that until after, which is a little bit problematic when you're trying to show people what's going on. We hope to be able to fix that next. But this is ongoing. So what we do with InSession is we ask for users, like everybody listening right now perhaps, to think about projects that they have questions about, that they would like to look at with our developers. And here we had Akiko Yamashita, and she was doing a piece of controlling robots with Maya, and then sending those control channels over to Ableton via TouchDesigner as well. And there were a lot of questions there, and Jared and Ivan took a deep dive into TD Ableton and generally control of Ableton to solve our problems there. So if you want to submit your project or your questions, essentially, you can go to our website and just search for InSession. I promise we'll make that easier with a direct link, and I'll give you the link later here. And at the bottom of this InSession article is a registration link, which you can fill out, and we'll get in touch with you. So, yeah, I think that's it for me right now. The 2 sessions that we already recorded, you can see on our YouTube channel. If you go to the TouchDesigner YouTube channel and videos, then there's the May 2nd, the 22nd session and the May 1st session, all recorded and hopefully very informative. Yep.
Yeah, I was a really big fan of the in-sessions, especially because it's always really nice to get a way deeper view in a lot of the tools we use from day to day, and to have the people who actually write and develop the tools, especially with TD Ableton, and having Ivan and Jared there with you and they know what's actually happening is always really awesome to watch. So I highly suggest to everyone to check the in-sessions out and to participate in it. I think this was also one thing when we had the meeting with you, Marcus, and Isabel and Greg in Berlin. Also one thing was the question of a more participant or more direct contact in a way between derivative and the community, which you are already really great at, but I think the in-session gives everything a complete new level of, how do you say it, Einblicke.
Sure.
Insights, yes,
perhaps.
Exactly.
Yeah, no, that's really nice to hear, and this is literally what we're trying to do: give a little bit more direct contact. And I know that Ivan is amazing with his documentation. The documentation he does on the wiki are great. I know for myself that my documentation is rather lacking, so getting the information directly from the people who make it gives you an idea of their mindset as well, and that's the important part there. Yeah.
Probably also the other direction, Marcus, the other direction for you as a maker to get the direct input on hand from the user.
That as well, yes. Yeah. Yes. You're correct.
Yay! Okay, so we're talking so much about community right now, but not talking with the community. So, Stefan and Carlos, what do we have over there? Marcus, can we see the source code of an example?
Can we see the source code of an example? That's, I know who's asking that. Sure, why not? Let me just go to, the custom operators. I'm going there.
Does that maybe add too much to the stickers and less on
Screen share.
And screen share.
Okay, there's some technical problem because we can't hear you when we screen share. Let's try that again.
You can't hear me? You still can't hear me?
I can hear you now, but I think now we...
No, I can't hear you, but fine. Yeah, that's okay, I guess. I mean, in all its glory, it's like stuff. It's basically a collection of files, and what you'll get is for each operator, for each custom operator, there will be a set of different files, including also a solution file that you can load into Visual Studio, and from that you should combined with the documentation, you should be able to get through these examples fairly simply. It's really fairly self-explanatory, and I found if you have some experience with scripting languages as well, I mean, C++ is definitely not forgiving, and I struggle with it every single time I attempt it, but you can hack around in this while having to compile in the end, but yeah.
Awesome. So, do we have any more questions? Yeah, Twitch seems to be the case. Carlos?
Yeah, so we have a question from Ginger that I totally agree with that. So with the rising interest in TouchDesigner class Notch, do you have any plans to make Notch integration available for TD commercial licenses?
Damn it! We have been talking about things in that direction, and I don't have the answer right now to it. Oh no. Yeah, I'll have to get back to you on that.
Okay, so we will pin you to it. Maybe till you find the answer, we can have another question from YouTube, I see. Stefan, what's up on YouTube?
Yeah, there is a question from Marcel Mitash. And he's wondering what will be the timetable for this custom installer. Will it be a commercial or a pro license feature? I guess level of privacy.
I think I caught it. Oh, there was more. No, I think I caught most of it. So the just going to turn off my screen sharing here. The installer itself has no license limitations there. This is something everybody could build that themselves. Basically, it's an Inno setup run installer that just packages up something else with appropriate license attached to it. Appropriate license, I mean appropriate license terms. Because I'm not quite sure if our current license terms actually allow for packaging up TouchDesigner the way that we're doing it with the project packager, but this is basically then solved. So there's no limitations to this. Privacy on the other side is that there has been no discussion on our side to lower the license level of what it's currently. Yeah.
Okay, so we are already a little bit over time what our timetable suggests, but I think because we are working, you are the last part, and having community feedback is always a nice thing. We will ask, are there any more questions from YouTube? I see Christos.
Hello, Marcus. I'm Christos from earlier that we present Aejaa, and I have a question. Like, if there is any plan, or you might consider about integrating the WebRTC protocol into TouchDesigner.
WebRTC. Did I get this right?
Sorry, I had to listen to the question on the stream because I couldn't hear it. That discussion is ongoing. That's all I can say, basically. Yeah.
Okay.
There's a lot of demand on it on the forum as well, and I think WebRTC perhaps lends itself very nicely to it, being able to package data into the stream with video and audio. So, yeah, I think that's an ongoing discussion. Yeah.
Okay.
And there's a forum post as well. If you go to the forum and just, I think it was yesterday or 2 days ago, post there.
I also saw it,
and
so I don't...
add your +1 or +1,000.
+1,000,000.
Yeah.
Okay. Carlos, what does the Twitch say?
MIDI 2.0 and VST integrations.
Mhm.
Integrations of VST, so that's work in progress. MIDI 2.0, there is no current plans. Yeah.
Yeah, I already saw the VST demo. You showed it around in Amsterdam, and it was quite intriguing to have like a lot of people in the audience be like, "Woo!" So definitely going to look forward to that one.
Looking forward to that as well. Yeah, most definitely.
All right.
Yeah, part of this, I mean, there's always the drive to not shorten development on creative tools. Like we do a lot of technical development, but obviously, like with then things like the particle material, those are side developments. That's very much where we're looking at creative applications to help you create pretty things.
That's what we're here for. Do we have any more direct questions? Because I would also like to bring everyone who's still in the call to a party line. Let's see if we can do that. Oh yeah, and there we are. So I think everyone should hear me and each other when I'm not mistaken. So if you have any questions to any of our guests, to Stefan or to Christos, I'm so sorry. Now is the time for it, because now everyone's here, and this will be the last minutes for now.
The last. Oh yeah. Is Stefan coming to the couch? Yes.
Yes. Oh. Oh, yeah, okay. So it's going to be the group picture. So who's taking a look at the community right now?
Party, it says.
Party hard, okay. So, yeah. I think if there are no more questions, thank you to all of you. Thank you to Christos. And thank you to Paul. So no one of you saw Paul, but we will have or make a studio tour after our... there's Paul. Say hello to Paul. He's taking care of the whole streaming setup. This is one of the reasons why we have these nice animations and yeah, good camera quality, sound and stuff like this. So that's all thanks to Paul. Yeah, and if there are no more questions from the community, we will end the official part of the Node Institute roundtable for the TouchDesigner community with a last AV performance. Stefan knows more.
Yeah, it's a video that was provided by Marcus. I think is a work that he did with Alvanoto. And,
oh wow, that's the
Marcus
old one.
Wants to say two words.
Good.
Yeah, and after this we will make a short studio tour for everyone who's still interested, and we'll show you a little bit more about the streaming and technical setup. So if you're interested for this part, which is not strictly TouchDesigner, stay inside and the stream. And see you next month, last Thursday of the month, to TouchDesigner Roundtable number 11. If any of you has something to present, something to show in any way, feel free to contact any one of us, And thank you for watching. Thank you for participating, on everyone on the team. And see you soon. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Film ab. Okay, welcome to the studio tour. So some people were asking about the screens. So maybe let's have a look behind the screens. One of the things you will see are LED stripes and yeah, so screens, lots of screens, and oh god. So if we have a look here, you can see the data path X4. There it is. And then, so this data path is taking this screen, this screen, this screen, this screen, and these two screens are separate. And they're run by this machine. This one, if we the RTX, and it's running this, just have a look here, it's running this whole flow setup rendered in real time, you can see here. So actually, let's take a look here, so you can actually move this around. And yeah, that's definitely one part. Oh, it's lagging like crazy. And this video is actually run by this poor machine here. It's like an old 2080 was never made for any kind of video playback or whatever. Just grab my... So, yeah, this is what I saw. So we have the screen, which actually is a touch screen. We have the camera. The feedback machine we disabled in favor of our headphones over here. LAN core max point, some LAN stuff which we can get from the wall. So then we had this, Pico Stream. Paul is not really happy with them. They're quite expensive, but they are easy to set up and easy to use in a smaller environment. But otherwise, for this money, you can get like a decent Sennheiser, not streaming, but wireless set. Also, sound desk for all of this different sound, and especially for the, how do you say, monitoring. And now the magic begins. So you already saw like 3 screens. There's more. There's a 5, 6, 7, and 8. And here we are using vMix in combination with Skype, which is actually currently running upstairs. That's Paul. Whee! And we're using a XS1 HD by Roland. This one is really nice because you also have like this cross mode, and you can run picture in picture. So it looks like this. Oh yeah, so.
This is a master, so you can just change something like having fun and switch around, but you can also convert it in a 4x4 cross matrix router or as a 4 pip mode, so you can arrange 4 different inputs as different sizes, but you can switch them, so you have 4 inputs in different sizes and positions, or you can move one by one. One position is big and beneath. I use it for tutorials, for Chitain on YouTube, and I think for 2K, 444 colors, RGB, YUV, everything is possible. You can send HDMI with HDMI color space or HDMI with TiVo ED color space. It's really great, and you wouldn't find the best backpack AV mixer for 2K you can have. So it's not the best one, but it's handy for everything we do, creative and VJ.
So yeah, basically price and form factor, it's the way to go. Basically, a lot of people are going with the Aejaa Mini by Blackmagic right now, but I don't know. You shouldn't really get some proper gear, people. Get proper gear. So, because we're not finished, Carlos. Here's Carlos. And oh yeah, one of the really nice things Carlos did is using this vMix social interface. So with this, we can really easily create different styles of your chat questions and blend them in. And yeah, how are you, Carlos?
Doing great. Thank you for everyone to join us, and check the Node Institute. We're doing amazing things, and thank you very much for joining us.
Yeah, and Carlos also sponsored this camera, the Alpha 6500 and we just got it with HDMI, put it into our screen mixer over here. So yeah, maybe we can have a little weird window, and no one really knows what this window is. We don't know. Und ich hänge. Okay, so I think that's basically everything we have here on the studio tour. I don't know if you maybe have some more questions. And otherwise, that will be it for today.
That's it. One last video file?
Ah, yeah, right. What? You have a one last video file, I heard.
And we will play it, and then we go and drink beer.
Beer! Drink beer, everybody.